the RPG Maker General Podcast, or the rpgmgp, secured by Triceracop Incorporated. Welcome to the RPG Maker General Podcast, or the rpgmgp, your one-stop shop for everything RPG Maker. This is Cody aka Marpix, and with me today are Karbonic.
Buy dashboard, please.
Back from a very long absence, Mr. Sam Windsor.
What's up, gay nerds? I got kicked out of a country for being too gay. There's a story there, but we're talking RPG Maker today. I'm not gonna get fucking sidetracked for 1 second. That's my new Windsor guarantee. I just talk about RPG Maker. I don't even introduce myself.
And a special guest from Tumblr's RPG Dev Network, Fox.
Hello.
So, as is normal, Yanfly's got a couple new plugins, but we actually have some more important news. One of the people in RPGMG's Little Circle Jerk released a game on Steam, and I'm very excited to hear him tell us all about it.
Okay, so,
That was attractive.
So it's about this guy, and he's a fucking loser. He's a hikikomori, and he wakes up in a different realm, and he has to find his way home, except there's like a false god who runs the realm, and he has to defeat it, and he meets a bunch of crazy people along the way, and I think anyone who's into games like Off or Lisa, you'd definitely be into it, so check it out. It's available on Steam now. It's called Dashboard. Put a link in the description.
More like, I'm fucking bored of hearing you talk. Let's talk about RPG Maker and not his fucking anime shit or whatever he was talking about.
Listen here, you piece of shit! I have put in over 1,000 hours into this game.
You hear that, Windsor? 1,000 hours!
I was the first person to ever masturbate to your game, and you know that, and you owe me that.
Wow.
The save girl in the demo, she did things for me, man.
Jesus Christ.
Oh god, did you make the save girl hot like meleeing in Metal Gear Solid?
I mean, somewhat.
I just kind of have to ask, is this false god basically around the template of Sheogorath from the Elder Scrolls? Because that would be amazing if he was.
Not really. It's I can't really think of any character to compare that thing to. Hey,
Unfortunate.
But anyways, yeah, get Dashboard on Steam. Link in the description if he remembers to put it in.
Nice.
All right. So Dashboard is available for $4.99 US.
Does this have a demo trailer?
Or soon to be 5,000 British pounds.
5,000 British pounds is like $10 at the minute, man. We're fucked right now. Shit's bad over here.
Well, if you damn kids would have shown up to the voting booths to vote Remain or whatever, you wouldn't be in this hole.
Hey, listen, I wore an incredibly stylish pair of sunglasses to the voting booth. And when I got there, an old man asked me, why are you wearing those? And I was like, I gotta let the world know I'm a worthless millennial and I'm only here to destroy the world. And he probably tweeted about it. He was probably very upset.
Okay, let's move on.
Project Progress. Defeat the Darkness is going along as ever. I forgot to cut someone's lines back in January. Shame on me, I'm a terrible person. Getting that done now. But it also means that the dialogue should be done. Everyone has the final script. I'm going to have Adam over to do his lines. I got to do Lilac and Jethro's lines as well as my own. So we're getting all the back end done. So then I just need to find time to record footage and throw it in some video files, and that'll be that. Karbonic, now that Dashboard is out, what are you up to?
Oh, Dashboard is over and Karbonic is dead. But no, I've been trying to think of new games to work on, but so far I haven't really found a lightning rod to work on. Like I haven't been able to catch lightning at all. So I've just been not really anything new so far.
Okay, cool. And Fox, since you're actually working in RPG Maker, what are you up to?
I'm working on my own game called Tale of Altera. As it stands right now, I'm putting filler details into episode 1 I am finishing the last parts of script for episode 2, and then trying to find some voice actors if I can manage to. Otherwise, I just need peer review, and then I'll start actually producing it.
Sweet deal.
And that's hopefully going to be done by September.
But I hope you stick to your schedule, because I certainly have not.
Yeah, well, hopefully the July will load the demo, and then September will be the finished product, and then I can start episode 3.
All right, so Windsor, what are you up to?
I opened RPG Maker by accident the other day. I was trying to click the League of Legends icon and I missed. But
Wow.
hey, listen, here come dashboards. Oh shit, what up? Buy that.
Oh, that should be my marketing campaign. Here comes dashboard. Oh shit, what up?
So relevant. The kids will love it.
The kids. That's the way to do your marketing.
The kids will love it.
They will, they'll love it.
Okay,
Sure.
so Cody, do you want to do the
Oh, yeah. So, does anyone have any advice they want to give our beautiful, talented listening audience?
Listen here, son. You're a growing young man, so you need to know that you need to back your shit up. You can't just put a non-backed up game on some random $2 horse HDD and expect it to not get wiped clean the next day. You need to back it up. And that's why I've got the I don't know where I'm going with this. Just back this up. Just back your shit up.
Yeah, seriously. Back your shit up. We haven't told you for a while, but you need to back it up. Upload it to the cloud. Put it in an external hard drive. Put it, you know what, if you have a floppy drive, get about 600 floppy disks and back your shit up.
So yeah, from personal experience with my script here, I actually do not recommend the cloud. It fucks your shit up and reverts things to older states.
Oh yeah, cloud
Physical
bad.
backups.
Yeah.
External hard drive, USB flash sticks, email,
Specifically
PDFs,
external
whatever.
things, because they don't get fucked up when computers get fucked up. And computers get fucked up a lot more than hard drives.
Yeah.
True.
Stick it in 3 separate USBs, bury one of them in your backyard, mail another one to a friend, and then take the other one, put it in a watertight plastic baggie, and stick it in your toilet tank.
Friends do not exist. Friends do not exist. That person is going to steal your stuff and sell it.
That's why you encrypt it. And that's also why you have the 2 backup copies in your backyard in the toilet tank. You have more copies than they do, ergo, it's yours.
They just want to fuck you, man. They all just want to fuck
I
you.
mean, that's...
Everybody wants to fuck you, man. They want to take your game. They want to take your livelihood. They want to fuck you in the ass and throw you out, man. You can take it from me. Don't trust a damn thing.
The wrong way, then.
Don't trust a boy. Don't trust anybody. Don't trust anything. Don't trust me.
Your gun.
Don't trust what I'm saying.
So
right
just
now.
to wrap things up, our advice for today is A, back your shit up, and B, do not trust anyone.
C, Rule 35.
Yeah.
Yes.
D, Rule 34, pretty fittingly. Also, E is add Kana Boone's silhouette song to anything, and it'll make it 20 times more memey and 20 times more funny.
F, there is no Rule F. Rule G, disregard Rule F. So our main subject today is actually going to be games made in RPG Maker that aren't actually RPGs. And personally, I draw the line at it's simple and straightforward. If your game lacks a combat system, I don't think you are a proper RPG. Now, you could probably be an adventure game, you could be some kind of puzzle game, but if you don't have the walking around on the grid and the combat, you know, you can have the story and the walking, but you need the combat too. Otherwise, I don't feel it's a proper role-playing game.
Although, I gotta argue a bit with that. I mean, like, I mean, breaking down RPG, it's a role-playing game, and role-play doesn't exactly need to involve fighting.
I think it takes away a lot of the depth if you don't, because...
Roleplay can involve a lot of loving.
Yes, it can. But, Karbonic, the question then is, if there's no combat, then what class are you going to be? Your options are person who talks really nice and person who talks really nice and has boobs.
Okay, hear me out here.
You gotta think that role-playing is taking on a role of somebody else. I mean, Undertale did this real well. You had the option to do pacifist, the option of no combat whatsoever, or kill anybody for that matter. Not having combat, but it's stuff like that. You're still taking on the role of the character, discovering the story, the world, the characters, so on and so forth. It's like reading a book, I think. I would even argue that reading a book could be a form of role-playing.
Listen up, fam. I'm about to drop some wisdom. I'm sorry, please continue. Okay, I'm about to drop some wisdom. Street Fighter, role-playing game? Yes. You adopt the role of Ryu from Streets, or Balrog, or Blanca, or Jury, and you assume the role of this character, and you adopt their motivations because they want to beat up and kill the other guy, and you also want to beat up and kill the other guy. It's probably the truest and purest form of role-playing.
I mean,
similarly,
here's the deal. The problem is, okay, let's rein it back. The problem is, I guess you can really construe any video game to be a role-playing game in some way. But, yeah, I understand what you're talking about. You're talking about those classical, sort of, turn-based RPG type things. Or at least ones with battle systems.
Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, Wizardry, they all revolve around people who have some kind of martial skill, unless you're a cleric. And that provides a kind of basis for the group of adventurers to band together and do whatever the heck they're doing. Because let's all be honest, there's not very many role-playing games that don't involve killing somebody evil. Like there's a dragon or a dark lord.
What about Harvest Moon?
That generally is considered a farming simulator, but it's also a dating simulator. Yeah,
I've always been under the impression that it's like a role-playing game / simulator for farming, obviously.
Yeah, it toes a really fine line, I think, because it mashes farming sim and dating sim into one, so it has all of the aspects of a role-playing game except the combat. Now, if you were, say, fighting wild boars that came upon your farm, I would probably still call it a simulation, because equipping a spear or a sickle or whatever and taking down a boar isn't the main draw of the game.
I would say,
if that boar's fucking up your crops.
I reckon in a game like Final Fantasy VIII, the main draw isn't pressing the X button through a menu to fight Galabishi or fucking the Emerald Weapon or whatever. The main draw is the anime plotline shit.
What if there was like a high stakes Final Fantasy game or whatever, and they went on a huge quest, the main characters, and at the end it turns out that this entire quest was just so they could kill some wild boars that were fucking up crops somewhere.
Ultimate Boar Supreme.
What about, Deus Ex? Now, the original Deus Ex has a lot of different ways to customize your character, much like a WRPG, and people consider it an RPG, even though it's mostly a shooter if you play it that way, and you can also avoid the vast majority of combat by either picking locks or talking your way out of situations.
Well, I mean, the thing is, RPG, like I said earlier, is such a imprecise word that could be applied to so many things.
It's actually an acronym, by the way.
Listen here, you little piece of shit. I'll fuck you up. Say that to my face IRL, not over the computer. See what happens.
Well, technically, if we want to get super technical, every game is an action game. A lot of games are platformers. A lot of games are technically fighting games because you're always fighting something. Some games are puzzle games. And almost all games are walking simulators.
True.
I agree.
They're walking simulators with different characteristics, let's say.
Yes. And Call of Duty is a very fine adventure game where the most commonly used combination is use gun on man.
Actually, they're kind of, now that you've mentioned it, actually brings about a kind of a query of mine for a game Splinter Cell. You know, taking on that RPG, realm of what was his name, Sam Fisher, I believe the guy was, where you could in essence avoid combat by taking out enemies before they could even see you, or just going around them altogether, but still accomplishing that overall action theme that you mentioned earlier, where you're trying to accomplish this goal or defeat this overarching power.
I think what sets Splinter Cell apart from Deus Ex is that Deus Ex has the obscene character customization. I know that Splinter Cell also leans heavily on its good writing back when Tom Clancy was alive. So
Sure.
even if you're not there specifically for the stealth gameplay, there is still the world and the characters and the story to fall back on.
And you consider that to be applicable to this walking simulator that you don't like too much, or does it having that action combat system mechanic, let's say, bring it into that realm of what you accept to be a proper RPG, even though it's technically a shooter?
What would you guys consider Undertale to be?
It's like a walking simulator fighting game combination. Basically, Street Fighter meets Gone Home.
Okay.
Hear me out. You walk a lot, but you also fight a lot. But you don't have to fight a lot, so it's a bit like Gone Home meets Gone Home.
I was gonna say it is kind of comparable to a walking simulator because someone timed it, and by far the thing you do the most in, I mean, you could say this for a lot of games, but especially for Undertale, it's like in a 6-hour-long playthrough of Undertale, 4 of those hours are spent just walking because the main character Frisk that you play as moves so fucking slow that it takes up such a big chunk of the playtime.
And the maps are so fucking long.
Yeah.
Yeah. To add to that, though, Undertale is kind of a weird mashup because it has combat, but the way you evade attacks is kind of a WarioWare style or shmup style evade the bullets kind of thing. It's like how Knights in the Nightmare for the DS, which I'm currently playing, it's technically a tactics RPG, but you have to take your little wisp and control characters while avoiding all the bullets flying at your little cursor. So it's a TRPG shmup action game crossover hybrid kind of thing. And in that specific instance, you're playing the game for the ADHD, oh god, what the hell am I doing, where should I go kind of aspect. Even though it looks like a TRPG and plays like a shmup, it's an action game with a lot of heavy resource management, and that's what people play that game for. Now with Undertale, most people are playing it for the story, and I actually have a friend or two that wishes there was a button to skip the combat because they like the story so much they want to just keep playing and not have to worry about dodging bullets for 5 hours.
Yeah, and to you, Cody, is that a game that you would classify as worth playing if it has a good enough story that it doesn't really inherently need the combat, or people wouldn't prefer having the combat? Does that still make it a good game worth playing?
With Undertale, I think if we stripped it down to the bare essentials and you met everyone and then there was an option to kill or not kill, there would still be people more interested in the story than if you stripped out all the story and had them just play the combat.
Oh yeah.
And this is why I find it interesting.
As a base game, it's pretty good.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, wait. I was ranting to myself today. Earlier today, I was ranting to myself probably 12 hours ago or so.
I
Just
do that
talking
every
to
day.
myself about Undertale, as I usually do. But I realized something that I just haven't been able to let go because it bothered me so much. And that's at the beginning of the game, the character, the flower character, the Flowey character, is all like, yeah, you managed to, like, spare people, right? But what happens if you meet someone who will not be spared, who will not back down and is absolutely out to kill you, and there's no way to convince them otherwise? What will you do in that situation?
Gotta get their mouth and
that's-
shove them in no hole.
Well, that's a cool dilemma for a game that's all about being like a pacifist or whatever. The problem is that dilemma never comes up later in the game. no matter what you do, there's always a way to just spare someone.
Well, I mean, does it really have to come up? It could just be one of those elements that is intended to mess with you.
If the game raises the question and then like...
So what you're saying is that there should be no option to complete the game.
Yes,
the pacifist run.
It should just get to a point where you meet like Hannibal Lecter, and it just eats your character over and over again, and that's the end.
No. Here's how you do it with Undertale. Hannibal Lecter is just like off in a room by himself, and if you go and fight him, you either die or must kill Hannibal Lecter. But you just avoid the room altogether, and you can still be a perfect pacifist. You just have to not talk to Hannibal.
So the only way to win the game is not to play.
Yes.
No, not go into that room.
Yeah. Yeah, like, someone will mention, oh, hey, Hannibal's in that room. He's kind of a mean guy, though. And there's a save point. And then you realize, Hannibal's either like, it's you or me, buddy. And then you just don't fight him. We would cut out the graphic part where, like, he grinds you into dust and puts you in his soup, because this is a kid's game, remember.
I wouldn't call Undertale a kid's game. It's just, it's more of a, like, adult children's game.
Well, I never actually completely played Undertale myself, but isn't it, I thought it was a, kind of like a kidsy kind of game with adult themes, like a lot of cartoons back in the day, where they were, like, in a way designed for kids, but there were a bunch of adult themes built into them.
No, there's a lot of soft gore later on in the game.
I don't know.
More body horror.
It's like Courage the Cowardly Dog. I wouldn't put it any more graphic than that.
Well, I don't know. I enjoyed it a lot as a kid.
It's got the swear words, though.
It does.
It can't be a children's thing.
Nobody says fuck. Nobody says shit. Nobody says
it's like that one time where Toriel shows up at the very end and she's like, Asgore, you cuck cunt. You need to die.
Wow!
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I forgot about that scene.
And then your children ask, Mommy, what the kind?
No, I don't know. I mean, like, the game just I don't know. I don't think Toby really had any people in mind when making the game. Like, any specific demographic except for the Tumblr one.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well,
wow.
I don't know. Maybe that could be a subject for another day, obviously, because that's not the one for tonight. But, like, how does one determine their target audience when making a game, or do they even have one?
I have a checklist for a list of characteristics that make a game that define a game as a cuck SJW game. 1, female characters.
God
2,
damn it.
male characters talking to other male characters because that's gay, which is pandering.
Oh my god.
3, no boobs. That's a big problem. That's
Okay.
a blight on many games.
It was a mistake. Windsor.
Oh, my game's failing
You're
all of
gonna alienate our new friends.
Oh no. Damn it, I've failed to be considerate of my fellow SJWs. I'm an SJW too. You don't have to worry. I'm actually a great big SJW. I hate sex and breasts.
Windsor loves women and has loved quite a lot of women.
I'm like,
Thank you.
stop, Cody. You're making it worse.
That's ironic / hypocritical.
Yeah, I've already relegated that to Windsor Cast 2 Electric Boogaloo. Anyhow.
Stop. Okay, stop.
All right, then.
Where were we?
So Aspie Fox has actually played a lot of RPG Maker games, and I know he wanted to bring up To the Moon earlier. And if I remember correctly, To the Moon doesn't have any combat. It's more of an adventure game.
Mm-hmm.
So how about you tell us a little bit about To the Moon?
Oh, I'm so weird at explaining things. I don't know. I haven't played To the Moon in its entirety. I've more or less kind of watched people play it. But like you said, it is an adventure-ish game, more based around a romance story. And that's kind of I'm not going to say it's a trope that I'm based mine around, the one that I'm developing. But just that general aspect of not having combat, or at least not having a bunch of it being the focus of the game, but still having that compelling story that a lot of people like. To the Moon was liked because of its story, and some people actually praise it because it doesn't have combat.
Yeah. Based on what you saw, were there items to collect? Were there people to talk to? Or was it kind of Dear Esther in the sense where you can just kind of fart around until you decide to progress to where the ending is?
I'd say culmination between interacting with characters and dicking around until you feel like progressing.
Well, let me say something about Dear Esther, because you just reminded me of Dear Esther, which was a mistake on your part. Dear Esther is very much a closed course. It's like a hallway. And even though it looks like it's on a big, expansive island, it's not like you can really explore anything in a way that you want. You have to follow this one linear line, and I'm somewhat okay with what they call walking simulators, but what they did there was just kind of abhorrent, where it's like if you walk 5 feet off the trail, the voice is like, "Come back," and you get teleported right back onto the trail.
The first thing I tried to do in Dear Esther was drown myself, and I kept showing back up on shore. I was a little peeved at the lack of choice there. And I think what sets apart a walking simulator from, say, an adventure game is the presence of, an inventory, a way to interact with the world, and also fail states. Now, LucasArts adventure games are very famous for being the adventure games that are hard to lose. Like in Sierra games, you could make some innocuous decision and then 5 hours later find out that your whole game is fucked and you have to start over. With LucasArts, they made Day of the Tentacle, they made Full Throttle, they made one that escapes my... They made a bunch of them. But the whole point of the LucasArts adventure games is even if you don't know what to do, you can still fart around until you find it. And sometimes near the end of the game, there'll be a way to fail, but you can just reload and try again. Oh, Sam & Max Hit the Road is another good example of that, where you have a bunch of items and you're just looking to see what will make the plot move forward.
I kind of feel like that applies to a lot of RPGs and adventure games in general, where you don't really know what you're supposed to... Well, I should correct myself here. It applies to older RPGs and games, because they never really held your hand like a lot of games do nowadays, and you kind of had to fend for yourself for the most part. One of my favorite games on mobile, actually, it's a recent game, obviously, because it's on mobile, but it's Avalon. But that kind of goes back and harkens back to that top-down D&D style adventure game where you do have this, big old power you have to defeat, but you're kind of just plopped into this world and told, hey, go talk to this guy, but you don't know where this guy is or what he looks like or anything. You have to kind of find around and look for yourself, and everything you do is based around that. You have to fend for yourself and use your mind and think things through.
That sounds a lot like Morrowind in a way. You get dropped off at a town.
Oh, dear God. Oh, dear God, Morrowind.
Yeah.
I still have not beaten that game. I've easily put 3 years into that game and have not beaten it yet.
You're part of the 99%, believe me.
I still play it, too. I just played more Morrowind, like, a week and a half ago. I just got the Umbra Sword, and it was amazing.
Yeah. Morrowind is a lot like Grand Theft Auto in that way, where... The journey is more important than the destination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can just screw around all day and you'll still have fun. Even if you didn't technically do anything that advances the state of the game, you still did cool stuff and you had fun. You can write fan fiction about it later.
And in that regard, you could call that a walking simulator.
Okay, we should get back to RPG Maker.
True.
You guys ever heard of a game called Yume Nikki?
Yeah, let's talk about the let's talk about the Yumi Tickly. The Yummy Tickly. Yume Nikki is a game where you play as a girl who's a hikikomori who goes into her dream. She refuses to leave the house, and you get into bed, and then you go into her dream state. And essentially, there's no real goal to the game, even though there is an ending. The real goal is just to kind of explore and find different things, and find all the different crazy things that you can find throughout the game world. It's actually really big. It was done by one guy.
That really reminds me of Lisa, but in a more benign way.
Well, I mean, have you ever played Lisa the First?
No.
Oh, that
Okay,
game's
so-
good. That game's really good.
Okay, so it's the very first Lisa game that was made, I think, in 2012, which is 2 years before Lisa the Painful came out. You play as Lisa, and you kind of go through her mind, find different things. It's kind of like a much less subtle Yume Nikki.
Yeah, that's what I said. It was basically reminding me of Lisa, but in a more benign way, or benign, subtle. So, I don't know. I guess it could be a game I could get into in a way, but I'm not really that big of a horror fan because they're so cheap. They really are. They're like there are very, very few games for me personally. Kind of like creep me out or scare me. I mean, there's a big difference, I'd say, between being startled by something you didn't really expect and being genuinely scared. Which is why I don't like jump scares, because I'm easily caught off guard sometimes, but I'm not really scared, and people misinterpret that a lot.
Okay, that's it. I'm done with this. But no, Yummy Nikki is a really good game.
Yummy.
I think it's shit, actually. I think it's really boring. It's like, okay, hear me out. By a certain metric, Life is Strange could be described as a walking simulator, but that's a walking talking simulator. You go and you have a word with your mate, she goes, we're lesbians, let's have lesbian sex. And you're like, fucking spot on, mate. And they don't actually do it, but
Really, I describe Life is Strange as less of a walking and talking, and more of a walking and being talked at simulator.
I
Yeah,
agree.
actually, I don't like Life is Strange either, but I like it better than Yume Nikki, because Yume Nikki, you can't even talk to people. Nobody has anything to say. Nobody ever goes, hey, it's cool to see you, thanks for coming. Nobody makes you feel welcome in Yume Nikki. That's my problem. Like, I'm not asking to be treated like a king.
Half of
okay?
Life is Strange is spent breaking into places.
Listen,
And rewinding time.
Okay, here's the thing about Life is Strange. It has the same problem as games like Dear Esther, where it's got this path it clearly wants to go, because you can't let... there's no way to die, and there's no way to make bad things happen, really, because it forces you to rewind time before those bad things even happen. So you can't, like, do things just to watch them happen. Like, if one of the characters falls in front of a bus, it like, freeze frames right before the bus hits them. And then it's like, now you gotta rewind it. And it's like, I just want to watch them die in slow motion multiple times.
So there's no fail state. You're railroaded into getting one of the two endings at the end.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
man.
you don't. Nobody gets hit with a bus in Yume Nikki either. You don't get to shoot Chloe in Yume Nikki, and that's my favorite part.
You get to crash a spaceship in Yume Nikki.
Alright, that's pretty good. That's not bad.
I think that's probably just based on what kind of games you play, Windsor, and why you play games. You know, for example, a friend of mine tried to introduce me to Flower, which is this really weird game on PS3 where you guide a bunch of petals around landscapes and grow plants.
Yeah, that was made by the same people who made Journey.
And I don't get Journey either. And the reason I don't is because I grew up with arcades and the Super Nintendo. I'm a skill gamer. When I play a video game, I expect to have rules and to have my reflexes tested. And so these games, I'm like, they're just comfy. You're just supposed to exist and breathe in the atmosphere. And atmosphere, for me, was good when I was younger and moving around a lot, and I played a lot of RPGs for that kind of escapism. But nowadays, I play a different kind of game, and I expect a different kind of enjoyment out of my games. So Yume Nikki, if I'm, 12, 13, and I need to get away from my normal life for a while, yeah, I'd be playing that. I'd be writing some sweet fanfic.
Go to one that's more sadistic.
Oh my god. Okay, so wait. Because I'm a bit confused about what you're saying, because most people, when they get older, their reflexes slow, and they gotta stop, they gotta stop doing those skilled things.
Well, that's only when you're past, like, age 40 or something. You're still in your prime.
Yeah, like...
Dude, Cody is like 56.
Wow! Not even half that, you motherfucker.
Okay, he's
I'm
49.
So, I think that exploration games like Yume Nikki can be done well in RPG Maker because all you have to do is remove the combat aspect, because you still have the ability to make nice maps, the ability to make nice graphics. You have all the events and switches that you need. A game that I think used the engine really well is Cherry Tree High. If you guys have ever played that or seen it on Steam.
Not at all.
All right. So the whole object of Cherry Tree High is you are Miley Varese, and you show up on the score roster as Very Smiley. There's a lot of puns in this game.
Okay.
Man, I've always wanted a game where I play as Miley Cyrus. Sign me up.
Very Smiley. Get it? She's smiling all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to start a club for comedy. And you need a minimum number of people to make sure the club goes through. Like, they're not just going to start a club with 2 people. They need at least 5 or whatever. So your job is to go around and convince people to join your club. And it's basically Persona without the combat because you're upgrading, like, your smarts and your, like, skill with video games, your knowledge of different subjects to get people to like you. And so it's Persona without the combat. You're just walking around, getting up your social links and trying to max out the social links to make sure your club is still around in 2 weeks, a month, whatever. It's really cute and very well done. I wouldn't call it an RPG, though. It's basically a dating sim, except you're not trying to date any of them.
Huh.
Yeah.
Hey, you say the game's called Cherry Tree High. I say the game's called Cherry Tree High there. My name's Sam Gladwin, and I don't want to play the video game. I got these for days, man. I'll never run out.
So, what other types of games do you think can be done well in RPG Maker? I think that dating sims could totally be done well because even though it's not RenP, you can still show pictures and manage variables and switches. I don't know how much of a platformer Lisa was. I know it was 2D, but did it have jumping at all?
It does, but it's very slight. It's less of a platformer and more that it's just on a 2D plane, and you can change which platform you're on. It's not like you don't really actively jump in it. It's more like you can just kind of climb on ledges and stuff.
Do you guys remember when I was going to make a dating sim? Like, at the start of 2016, I said, okay, before the end of 2016, I'm gonna finish 2 more games, and one of them was a fucking shag-heavy dating sim featuring every fictional character I've ever come up with, and I haven't really looked at RPG Maker since, like, January. I probably could, though. I could pull it off. I got some acumen. I had a girl.
If your skill with puns is as good as your skill with making games, I have high hopes for you, kind of.
My man, I had a girl play my game the other day, and she said, I really like, I like this game, and I hope you make more, and I think you're good at making games, and you were good at making this one, and you'll be good at making other ones too. And I was like, that's cool, man. It's cool for you to say so. Thanks for saying so. I was trying to come up with a punchline. I was trying to come up with some way to drive this home while I was talking, but it's 5 a.m. and I'm not on the ball today. Not on top of my game.
So how is Jack and Joey's Shag venture going?
Oh, fuck, you remembered the name. God, I'm flattered.
That's how you know you've made it to the big leagues.
I mean, it's not going. It's stopped. It's hit a big red light. Because I don't like to work. I realized it would require effort, and I'm not a fan of that. But man, I sure hope I do at some point decide actually I'm okay with doing things that are hard. Because like I would like to finish that. I think it'd be pretty good probably.
Windsor, maybe you should start on like a different project that like you don't really, that isn't like any huge idea in your mind, but you just will do it. Because that's how Dashboard started out. As in, like, it's not any big plan or anything. It's just a project that eventually grows into something else.
I mean, I'm working on a web series at the minute, like, and it basically budded from the same thing as you're describing. Are you guys familiar with Naruto?
Oh, God,
I think I've heard of it.
Okay, I was fucking around with Fire Pro, which is this wrestling game on the PlayStation, and for reasons I don't recall, I thought to myself, I should download Sony Vegas and make an AMV set to one of the Naruto openings using this Fire Pro thing.
Oh,
And I
no.
did. I spent
I don't-
just 48 hours not eating, not sleeping, just using Sony Vegas because I really badly wanted to make this Naruto AMV. And I did, and it was pretty good, and people liked it. So I thought, well, fuck it, why don't I start a virtual wrestling company in Fire Pro using Sony Vegas? And that has been going swimmingly so far.
I'm sorry, a wrestling company?
Yeah, virtual. It's called e-fetting. It's like an electronic wrestling federation.
Didn't you used to be a wrestler? at
Yeah,
some point?
yeah. I've downgraded. No, I'm getting back into
how
it.
do you go from Naruto AMV to internet wrestling?
Well, no. See, it wasn't a Naruto AMV. It was an AMV set to the Naruto intro that goes like, no,
Okay, yeah.
This is a mess.
Please don't remind me.
And so I think to myself, Naruto, but instead of ninjas, they're wrestlers, and it all happens in the village hidden in the wrestling. And it's called Danger Zone Wrestling Academy. You can look out for it. Nobody's gonna hear this. This is all getting cut, but you guys, you 6 guys, can look out for it on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my eyes right peeled.
Yeah.
That-
The
that's-
world
that's
needs
gonna-
more anime based on some sort of high school. It's a very original concept.
It's only original if the high schoolers wield swords and have magical powers to save the world.
But it's wrestling.
And yeah, they wrestle.
I've got a character called Naruto. He's Naruto, but his head is a mango. That's it. That's the character.
Could you imagine if Windsor did that? Like, he had the Swords of Magic, but it's Wrestling Academy, so they all pull the Wolverine from the X-Men cartoon. Like, he pulls out the claws and then just starts kicking people.
Wow.
Like, they draw the swords, they clank a few times, they just throw them away, start going at each other with the
Man, I
luchador
wonder-
moves.
I wonder how much we've made our new friends regret their decision.
God damn. I think we're running out of stuff to talk about regarding RPG Maker. We may have to expand a little bit.
Well, I mean, I actually wanted to kind of go back to your original subtopic of what game would work, what type of game rather would work well in the RPG Maker engine. And there was actually a game I just thought about that doesn't feature much content. It's kind of an adventure game with a goal in it. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but I know it's on rpgmaker.net, and it's called Palm Gets Wi-Fi.
Why do you have to remind me of that meme game?
You're welcome. But it's I don't know. I feel like it's a good example to bring up of things that I've seen and experienced.
Was it made with Game Maker? I thought it was made with something else.
No, it was an RPG Maker. It was either 2003 or XP, but it was one of the two.
Okay.
So, I've seen that game on Tumblr. Have you played it? Like, what's the goal of Palm Gets Wi-Fi?
To get Wi-Fi.
Get Wi-Fi.
Wow. I'm a special kind of stupid. and the gameplay is just typical VN click on options kind of thing, I assume?
Yeah, but you play
yeah.
as one of those meme dogs. You know.
It's a Pomeranian.
You sure it's not a pomegranate?
Yeah,
Jesus Christ. This needs to stop.
I'm hoping.
God. Okay, and that was made in RPG Maker. Do you know about Hatoful Boyfriend, or was that made in Ren'Py, you think?
I know Hatoful Boyfriend. I know of it anyway.
It's definitely
I don't
not
know
RPG.
It doesn't look like it was RPG Maker, but then again, I've seen crazier things that have been made in RPG Maker that didn't look like they were.
I mean, Pedro's game, who's listening in right now, doesn't look very RPG Maker. It looks very polished.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was Wait, Pedro. Why do I recognize that art? What game is he making, or she, whoever? Anyway, I don't know how I got off track with that, but going back to the the subtopic of what kind of game works in the engine is actually something that I kind of made me want to create the game that I'm currently making. And that would be kind of like, I guess it's the game that Cody doesn't like, because it doesn't really have combat in it, but more kind of the interactive novel / story adventure kind of game.
Would you be okay with going into more detail about it?
In what regard?
Like talking about your game so the audience knows what you're talking about and we can discuss it a little bit?
Yeah. I don't see any reason not to, I guess. But my game titled, which I might change in the future for the title, I don't know. I feel like it's stupid, but I think everything I do is stupid, quite frankly. I'm sure everybody does. But anyway, the name of it is Tale of Altera, and it's a very linear game that basically follows a story, and again, like I mentioned, doesn't really have much combat. And this is the kind of thing that I've not seen often in RPG Maker games, because more or less everything is either horror or it's very cliche Zelda-like RPG, hack and slash, or turn-based combat like Final Fantasy, whatever. It's all very cliche and overdone. And I'm the kind of gamer that likes a lot of story in my game, as opposed to grinding or running around doing things. And that's what inspired me to make this. But the story of it kind of goes around a trope of a character finding himself in a much larger scheme of things than, basically finding himself in the bigger picture. He's part of a puzzle. And it starts off with going on a simple recon mission because he's part of this Imperial military who's kind of trying to run the world. And he goes on his first official mission because one of the outposts nearby has not been responding for whatever reason on their routine checkup to the main island he's on. And he finds out that people there are dead. So he reports it back, and his supervisor basically determines that this is a matter that he can't handle, so he sends the character, whose name is Theo, he sends Theo to another continent, basically halfway across the world, to the Imperial capital, to basically deliver this news directly to the Lady Lord herself. I'm sorry if I'm jumping around. I get stupidly nervous, and because I'm never sure how I'm supposed to explain things. And not having a script in front of me kind of makes it weird.
All right, so zoom out a little bit. You're telling us about what the character does in the game. What's the end goal here?
The end goal is again, it's hard to explain.
All right, so is it like saving the world?
Essentially trying to overthrow the evil power, I guess, or restore things to how they were is the end goal.
Okay, so I assume he goes on the quest, uncovers some sort of conspiracy, and restores order, kind of thing.
In a very vague nutshell, yes.
Okay, perfect. Since you are making a piece of interactive fiction, and you've heard my opinion about interactive fiction, I'd like to ask you, why are you making it in the context of an adventure game as opposed to, say, writing a novel or having an artist help you make some kind of comic or graphic novel? Why do you feel that you need to have someone with a controller in their hands to enjoy the product you're making?
Because it is one of those things. I keep bouncing back and forth. I keep saying, I'm going to make multiple endings or this and that. And I have, and I also have not. I keep bouncing back and forth. But this is why I'm in this. This is going to be an episodic thing, first and foremost. So, because trying to do it in one big-ass project is not working well. I've tried it. So splitting it up into episodes is working a lot better and more manageable. But it is one of those things where I originally had this idea where I wanted it to be an adventure where you could interact with characters, have optional companions who would each have their own, kind of stories and their own perspectives on what's going on. Some go with you, some don't, based on what you do. And there's also, or there was going to be, rather, I might implement it later on. I really want to. But essentially, at one point in the game, there's a branching option where, based on a choice that you make, essentially throws you into either one game or another. in a way. Basically, the story is drastically different based on that one choice.
Okay. So if you tried to put that in a book, you'd have people like turning to page 96 if they betray and turning it to page 121 if they... Okay.
Yeah, it could be a choose-your-own-adventure kind of book, which I've kind of enjoyed in the past, but I've also been very iffy about because it requires a lot of going back and forth.
Yeah, so it sounds like yours is better served being in a game format based on how many different variables and kinds of experiences you're planning on putting in.
Yes.
Cool.
But it is one of those games that I want to see more made in the engine personally because I'm a story kind of guy. And I don't see a lot of those, if any, really. Or at least if they are made, they're not very good, in my opinion. So I'm kind of, in essence, making the kind of game that I wanted to play for the longest time.
I think that's all of us, really. Anyone who's getting into game dev is making the type of game they want to play, mainly because they haven't seen it yet.
True. I would.
Well, I mean...
That's not true. Unless you're EA and just trying to cash in on something.
I mean, according to all known laws of aviation, there is no way a bee should be able to fly. Its wings are too small to get its fat little body off the ground. The bee, of course, flies anyway, because bees don't care what humans think is impossible.
Is this the script for a bee movie, or what the hell are you doing?
He was going to keep going. He was just going to keep going.
Freaking Carb, I thought because you were a published developer on Steam, you would open your mouth and say something intelligent about how people were making the games they wanted to play, but no.
I thought he was going to branch about how this is my kind of game. It's like, oh, it's that non-RPG game that Cody hates so much.
Cody, I've been awake for so long.
Too long, it sounds like.
We're going to pretend the last 5 minutes didn't happen. Yeah, people tend to make the games that they want to see because they haven't been invented yet. So, Windsor, when you made Jack and Joey Get It Together, you emphasized, I think, character and also music selection. You tried to make everything kind of blend together as a cohesive experience.
Yes, I mean, that's just because I'm shit at making games. I just want to make fighting games. I just want to make Street Fighter, but I'm no good. But yeah, man, Jack and Joey's great. It's really great. It's really good.
So, what compelled you to make Jack and Joey compared to the other 6,000 basic plot lines you could have used for RPG Maker? Because I know you had to make a game for your class, but you chose to make Jack and Joey.
Yeah, I know, I probably had the idea at some point a while ago that it'd be funny if a guy thought his girlfriend was getting kidnapped, because he saw a bunch of pictures of her, like, tied up in a state of undress on the internet, and it turned out she was actually just cheating on him and some freaky shit. And, like, that is funny. I stand by that. And it just kind of bloomed from there. That was the seed, and the seed blossomed into a mighty oak.
Okay, I'm ready to answer this sort of question.
I swear to God, if B-movie comes up again, I will answer that with something worse. I swear to God.
Okay, Carb, Dashboard, why? Go.
Okay, so, Dashboard started out as an Off clone, but later on became a Lisa clone. It was very heavily inspired by Off in the beginning. To the point where I'd say it was kind of pretty rip-offy-ish. It had a very dumb plot line. It was all just a dream, coma dream ending. You're in the hospital. And I hated it.
If I'd like to note, I did watch the video for that game that you have. I can never remember. I don't know. I can't remember the name of. Even though you just said it, Dashboard. There we go. Thank you, Dashboard. Thank you, myself. I talk to myself. I'm beautiful. Anyway, I did see the video, and the art style kind of looks like it was heavily inspired, if not rip-off-ish, from Off.
Yeah.
Which isn't inherently a bad thing. I don't know. It's interesting.
It used to be far worse at the beginning, though. But essentially, Dashboard was really made in the beginning, it was just called Drive, and it was just made as a thing to show myself that I could make a game. and the original was made in probably about 3 weeks, and I decided I started to move on to other stuff, but then I decided to revisit it, and I decided to revamp the graphics, and I redid those, and I kept adding to it, and then I realized around Thanksgiving time, that's November for all of you non-Americans. For all you commie scum out there. So around that time, I realized that the game was super duper edgy. It was just really edgy, and I realized I didn't enjoy writing it, and I realized that no one else would enjoy writing it. So I had to completely redo the game from the ground up, or just like redo almost all of the writing from the ground up.
Jesus.
Just to like change it into a more humorous thing that I'd be into. And at that point, there's a lot more inspiration from like Lisa came in with the humor and stuff. So, and I think you can definitely in the game, and this is sort of an embarrassing thing, you can definitely kind of pick apart each moment of the game as what part is inspired by what thing specifically.
That's not always a bad thing.
Yeah,
I actually kind of like incorporating that stuff. I've got a lot of lines of dialogue in my game where I'll reference anything from Courage the Cowardly Dog to Star Wars. Or there will be characters whose names are very obviously, quote-unquote, inspired by things.
Wigs and veg.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
by the
never
end of
really
it was
bad
a bit
thing.
hard to refrain from putting memes into it, because one of the biggest mistakes you can make is putting memes into your game. Don't put
now,
memes.
Is it memes or a single meme is acceptable?
Like as in a full-on meme game?
Yeah.
Those suck.
I think that no one who is that interested in memes is also serious about making a good game.
True.
I think that if you are to incorporate memes, it should be tasteful, subtle, and even people who don't know what the meme is will either disregard the line or maybe even find it funny. So an example from my web series, Defeat the Darkness, and yes, Fox, I'm a total hypocrite because my fiction isn't even interactive. I made a movie in RPG Maker. So
It's not a bad thing.
yeah. So there's one of my friends is really obsessed with the BBC show Merlin. One of the character who plays Merlin also played a character in Doctor Who for like one episode, and his name happened to be Jethro in that episode. Now, I did not know this before I named the resident emo kid of my series Jethro. But I guess the actor's famous line from his Doctor Who cameo is, "We've broken down in the middle of nowhere." Okay, whatever. But after my friend heard about my emo kid Jethro in my series, she's like, "Dude, you have to put that line in somewhere. You got to. It'll be funny as hell." And I'm like, okay, all right. So anyone who gets it is going to laugh their head off if I get this right. But anyone who doesn't get it needs to either chuckle or look at the line and go, "This makes sense," and move on with the plot. So
If it makes sense for the plot, I mean, if they're actually stranded somewhere and that's part of the plot overall, then yeah, it would make sense.
well,
Because someone like me, I wouldn't get the reference at all. I don't watch BBC or anything. So if it was there just to be there, I would kind of find it weird.
yeah. So my goal then was, because it's an emo kid, I was going to reference a mental breakdown. And so the way I have it phrased is they're talking about their next destination where they need to go. And then Jethro gets all emo, and he doesn't want to go, and we're debating whether or not to take him, because the way the game's supposed to go is we're supposed to take him, but he's acting like a little bitch. And so Adam's character, who's also named Adam, go figure, goes, "We don't need you acting all broken down in the middle of nowhere."
That's pretty good. That's pretty clever. I'll tell you what I would have done.
That is pretty clever.
I mean, in my game, I removed this recently, but up until very recently, there was a meme that people complained about. In one of the final areas of, like, the final dungeon, there's a room covered in hieroglyphs, and just like various scenes of like hieroglyphic people like doing shit, ancient lore type stuff, and then one of them was just lost.jpg.
Oh fuck, that's great though.
That is. Would you take that out?
Because people, I received like 5 messages at once by people who were playing through the game, and they told me to take it out.
So I'll tell you what I would have done with Jethro. I would have had him, like, when he has his breakdown, I would have had him ride into the room on a unicycle and go, "Here come that boy," and everyone else would have gone. That would have been really tasteful.
Actually, I feel like it's at that rate where you want to have like a scene in your game somewhere where maybe this guy is having this mental breakdown and he does see a hallucination of "Here come that boy."
That boy.
Man, that would be funny because just anyone on LSD, you could put that in any movie. A frog on a unicycle. Well, some guy's tripping on LSD and he'll be going like,
Don't say that,
yeah,
you jinx
boy.
it. There's gonna be a Dat Boy movie.
I guarantee it. There's gonna be a meme movie.
There's gonna be an emoji movie. Fuck.
I know.
Right, they already
I know.
have stuffed pillows for emoji. You know what's next? The sky's the limit.
No, I mean there is an emoji movie coming out.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
we weren't kidding.
well, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just end it all now, because it's only gonna get worse.
Yeah, you gotta love how commercial things are getting. And,
Candy Crush movie also.
Oh, seriously? Cool, I'm gonna see that.
How do you even make a movie out of that? You can't.
It's about it's about like diabetes. It's an ultra serious movie about diabetes.
isn't there a Candyland movie coming too?
There's a Chutes and Ladders movie coming. I'm not joking when I say that.
You know what the worst part about Candyland and Chutes and Ladders is? Those are even worse than Dear Esther, because there's no strategy. You literally draw cards or roll dice until somebody wins. You have absolutely no control of the situation.
Let me tell you something, Cody.
Isn't that
Have you ever
D&D
looked
in
at
a
the
nutshell?
boxes? Have you ever looked at the boxes of those games? They say a little thing on it. It's not 4+. It's not ages 4+. It's 4 below. So essentially, if you're anything above a toddler, you shouldn't be playing these games.
God, I was a toddler and I hated playing fucking Candyland.
I will admit it's the same. Candyland wasn't as bad as Chutes and Ladders, though. At least Candyland, I can, taunt my sister and kick her ass in it.
What, because you drew a purple instead of a pink?
You're damn right I did.
You happen to evade the wrath of Lord Licorice. What a baller you are.
Oh, if only you knew.
And I was never sure about the that peppermint the peppermint guy. I was never sure what sex that character was supposed to be.
But he is obviously Candykin and not adherent to the bigenders of the social norm.
Good one.
I like your style.
Guys, Garfield Kart is on sale.
Garfield Kart? What the fuck?
Garfield
I want
Kart is
that.
on sale, guys.
Are we gonna stream Garfield Kart? We should stream
That'd be
Garfield
great.
Kart.
I'm about to go hide in Peppermint Forest with this shit.
Yep. All right. I think we've officially ran this topic into the ground and even further. I'm gonna cut it here. We've got our hour. Thank you all for listening to the RPG Maker General Podcast or the RPGMGP. This is Cody signing off.
I honestly apologize for this to anyone who's a regular viewer. I promise it can only get better from here. And a lot of us are very tired.
Speaking as somebody who actually is a regular viewer of the podcast, this is not going to get better. This is about as good as it gets, which is not a bad thing inherently.
Well, it depends. Do you like your deep discussion or your dank memes?
Both. Duh.
One of you
Guys,
ran it.
now this is I wasn't gonna say this, but I've got an announcement for the viewers. I got a very interesting person to come on the podcast. His name starts with the P, and and it rhymes with nudie pie. So I think next podcast should be very interesting.
See, at first I thought you were okay. All right.
This is Karbonic signing off. Go buy Dashboard.
This is Sam signing off. Check out Yvi on Tumblr, YHIVI. She's wonderful. Big fan. Don't check her out if you're in public.
All right, Fox, go ahead and sign off.
Wait, what do I say?
This is insert your name here, signing off. Insert witty tagline here.
This is Fox signing off. Stay foxy.